I've always viewed myself as a productive person. I've got a lot of things done over the years, and now that I've stumbled into being a YouTuber, I'm inundated with all kinds of applications promising greater productivity. Do this, do that, click here, get this app, get that app. It's just way too complicated for me. I've come up with a pretty simple way to use Apple reminders, and in this video, I show you how I do it. I use the word clever in the video title, and I do think the way I use reminders is clever, but mainly it's just simple. Hi, my name is Rich. Welcome back. If you followed this channel at all, you know I make easy to follow videos on how to use your iPhone and iPad. But just because they're easy to follow doesn't make them any less useful. In fact, most of the things I like about the iPad and the iPhone are the fairly simple things. Back when I was a student in college and then later in law school, I never dreamed I could have a task manager app on a phone in my pocket or on a little TV screen I carried around. Such a thing would have been crazy to imagine. So I just made lists of things to do on paper and scratched them out as I completed them, and that worked pretty well, except when I misplaced the list or wadded it up and threw it away by accident. I don't worry about that anymore now that I have an iPad and an iPhone, and you don't have to either. Getting the most out of your iPhone and iPad has so much to do with the way you structure and use your apps. And there's no better example of that than reminders. I've used reminders 100 different ways, and I keep coming back to the same method. So in today's video, I'm going to show you my 4 simple lists and why I have them, my capture and review process, how to use columns to organize your tasks, which is kind of cool, and finally, the 2 smart lists I use. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first up is just my 4 simple lists. If you go into reminders, I have 4 lists here. I used to have a whole bunch of lists. I'd have a Home Depot list and a auto repair list and a landscaping list. It was just list, and they just went on forever. And in the end, I'd always just get confused by way too many things. So I thought, how can I simplify this or put this together in some meaningful way that helps me use reminders? And this is what I landed on. So I have an inbox, which is very simple, and that inbox is used to just capture stuff, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then I created something called focus areas. And rather than a Home Depot list or a yard cleanup list or something like that, I started thinking about the areas that were important in my life, and I created a list of those, and then I created sections in that list. So here you'll see what I call my focus areas: health and marriage, family and faith, finances and friends, home, hobbies, and YouTube. And those are the things that I created in sections. Now, if you don't know how to create a section, it's really simple. Once you've created a list, and by the way, to add a list or create a list, you just tap on Add List, and you type in the name of it right there, and you're good to go. But I'm not going to add a new list. And then if you're in here in your list and you want to add a section, you can tap this little icon up at the top that looks like, well, a section. So you just tap on that, and then you can type in a new section. Maybe I'll call it exercise. And now I've got a new section down here that I can add tasks to. And that is my focus areas list. Then I've got a weekday tasks list, and that's just Monday through Friday, because at the end of the day, whenever I have a list of things to do, I really need to know when am I going to do them. And so I created a weekday task list, and I just created sections Monday through Friday. And I put them in there. And I did the same thing with the 4th list, weekend tasks. So Saturday and Sunday is a little bit different for me. And so sometimes I do things on the weekend. Sometimes I try not to do things on the weekend. So I decided to just create a weekends task. So everything is boiled down into these 4 lists. And this way I keep things organized and I just keep it simple and I don't get confused. And that's my lists. Pretty simple. Okay, next up is just my capture and review. And by capture, I mean, how do I get the things I need to do into the Reminders app? And there's 2 ways that I do it. I don't carry my iPad around with me as much as I carry my iPhone with me. And so I have that here, and typically I'll just use Siri to add a task. Remind me to clean the garage. And as you can see, she added clean the garage to the inbox. And that's typically how I capture just those random things that I remember that I need to do. I just pick up my phone, press the button on the side because I don't like to say, the words that trigger Siri. And I just add a task that way. And so that's when I'm on the go. But every week on Fridays, I sit down and I look at my focus list. And here I begin to think about what I need to do for the next couple of weeks. And I just start adding tasks in here. And you can see I've already added a whole bunch. I want to have dinner with Paul and Laura, our neighbors. I need to power wash the driveway as soon as winter is over. I've got date night coming up with my wife. We've got our 35th anniversary coming up, and I think we're going to try to go on a cruise for that. I've got things that I do up here for health, and I put all of these in. And so I just sit down every week, and to capture the tasks, I go through my focus areas and I just add them in. And usually, if I've got all my focus areas well defined, then all the tasks and things that I need to do show up there. And that's a very simple way to do it. I use my iPhone to capture tasks on the go, and then I sit down each week and I go through my focus areas and I add tasks. And that's how I review and capture tasks and get them into reminders. Okay, now that I've got them in there, I still have weekday tasks, and there's nothing there. So what I typically do is I will select some tasks. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to tap on this little icon in the top, and I'm going to choose Select Reminders. And then I've got my annual physical, date night. I need to change the oil. These are things that I know I need to do this coming week. I've got to review that. I've got to schedule dinner with Paul and Laura. And I need to set up a new cordless router. And then I need to schedule Q1 videos. So now I've got a bunch of tasks that I want to get done this coming week. And what I do is, after I've chosen them, I just simply tap and hold and then drag them all over into weekday tasks. And now they're out of my focus areas and they're all over in my weekday tasks. But you'll see that they didn't go into the Monday through Friday. They just show up down here at the bottom. So now I have a chance to add them in to where I want them to go. And this is how I use columns. So I've got a list here, and I could just take a task and drag it up to Monday like that, or I could view these tasks as columns. And again, if you tap on the little icon up here and go View as Columns, now you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that kind of stuff. And you can kind of see your week a little bit better. I'm visual. I know date night is on Friday, so I'll drag that over there. I need to change the oil in Rhonda's car on Thursday. Dinner with Olive Garden is going to be on Tuesday. No, that'll be on Wednesday. No, I think I'll make that Tuesday. And I'll go back over. I need to schedule Q1 videos. That's going to be on Friday. And I'm going to set this up on Wednesday. I'll schedule dinner with Paul and Laura on Wednesday, and I'll review our investment statements on Wednesday. So now you can kind of see how your week is looking. I've got not much to do on Monday. I've got a little bit to do. It looks like Wednesday is going to be a busy day, and then Thursday a few things like that. So after I've got them all in here in the Monday through Friday columns, I actually need to put a date with them, and that's what I do. And it takes just a minute to do this. So you tap and hold the task, and you'll put tap due date, and I'm going to put custom, and I'm going to do that on Monday of next week. So I'll put apply, And I'm going to do dinner at Olive Garden. I'll do the same thing. Put a due date. Custom, that'll be Tuesday. And I'll just go through these and get them all scheduled. Just like that. So it took a minute to do, but not really very long. And now I have my entire week planned out, and I've got columns that sort of help me visually see it. If you want to see it in lists, if you don't like columns, of course you can always go back and just view as list like that. And that's the more traditional way to do it, but Reminders has added columns, and in the latest iOS update, well, it's actually been around for a couple of years, but anyway, I like adding them in columns. And so that's just simply how I do that. And again, in the focus areas, I might add something to the weekend, and I just drag it over to weekend like that. And I'm going to do one thing, and I'm going to do that on Saturday. And I'll just tap and hold that one as well, and I'll put a due date of Saturday, like that. And so now I've got everything in my weekday tasks scheduled, and I can just take a look at this and see how busy I'm going to be during the week. And that's how you use columns to get yourself organized. Finally, I have just a couple of smart lists. I have the Today Smart List and the Scheduled Smart List. Now, when you open Reminders, you might see a whole bunch of things up here. You might have something that looks like this, where you've got different smart lists up here. And again, I don't want a lot of smart lists up there. I just want the ones that have meaning for me. And to pick that, or to filter those out, you tap on this little icon up here, and you tap on Edit Lists, and then you check off what you want. And the only things I want are the Today view and the Scheduled view. So when I click Done, it's there. So now I can look at everything I have scheduled. Now remember, I've got Monday through Friday over here, but I can also look at it this way. But I'll be honest with you, on my iPhone, when I open Reminders, I can have a scheduled list just like this, like what we see here, and that's okay. But for me, the weekday tasks are much easier. I can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, just the sections that I've put out. And that just seems to be a little clearer to me. But if you schedule them, you can still see them on the scheduled list over here, just like that. Now, the Today view is also important. And one of the things that you can do in the Today view is actually schedule things for morning, afternoon, or evening. So here you've got these little sections down here, if you can see them, and you can tap and drag them down. So that's tonight is date night, and then Q1 videos, schedule those, need to be done this morning. So now you can see what you've got in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening using Today view. Now, this may seem like a lot, but once you get the hang of doing it, you can do all of this, the review and the capture and the whole thing, in about 10 or 15 minutes. I don't spend much more time than that each week doing this. But once I'm done, I'm done. And then I have everything lined up exactly the way I want to do it, including in the Today view at what time of the day that I'm going to do it. Because often my wife will ask me, hey, are you busy today? And I'll say, well, I'm free in the morning, but I've got things in the afternoon and the evening to do. So it just works very, very well for me. And my guess is it would work really well for you. So what do you think? Pretty simple, isn't it? Even a bit clever, but even if my method doesn't jive with how you do things, I hope it stirred your imagination a bit. I try to keep things fresh, even when they resemble a tried and true method. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.